Hello, Ruby. This is Jasmine from Academy of Animated Art, and I am here to do your shading feedback for tonight. One, I'm loving Mia. I took a look at your style frame again, and really, great job, spot on. Um, Overall, I think this is an amazing first start, and I'm really loving how you implemented the scarf texture, the shading here. I think it's working really well. The skin I think is also looking great. I love how you added the blush here to the rosiness to the cheeks. The skin texture itself is looking really nice and warm. And overall, like, I don't have much to say about the skin. The one thing I will say is the lips do feel a little bit I'm looking for your reference on that, but maybe a little bit too pinkish, like she's wearing lipstick ish and less natural. So that I might subdue slightly. But overall, I think it's working really well. The shirt, let's look at the shirt. I think I'm looking at. Did you figure out the textures? Okay, so yeah, the UVs, I see you decided to kind of just do that, and that's totally fine. The one thing I'll double check, like I said, with textures like this is when she's in motion, we don't want this to deform and be noticeable. So that's something to look out for. But overall, I think that's looking good. I would maybe, it's hard to see at this level. I might decrease the bump a little bit. I think it might be overly emphasized. But that's something if you zoom in, I can probably tell a little bit better. Um, their skirt itself is also, I think, looking really good, and it seems like the right amount of texture from this distance. I mean, if you feel like it, play with making this waistband maybe like slightly darker, just to add that contrast. I think that'd just be a nice detail touch, but that is totally aesthetic, and you don't have to go by that because it's not in your style. But I was just looking at it and would add some nice detail there. The other thing I'll say, you did a great job on the hair. I know this could be really tricky with the UVs, but overall that's looking great. I love the gold glitter on the inside. The outside, let's talk about the outside here. So this is tricky, right? I will say that in general, to get this kind of fuzzy, furry ears with pure like displacement, bump, and whatnot, really tricky. Usually, it's recommended to do actual fur for that amount of fur. Because if you look at it, like, you did a great job getting the displacement and everything going, which can be really tricky, and that's working. But if you look, it's just really harsh, right? The bump itself, it's really sharp. It's not getting that softness that we feel in what fur actually does, right? And I would say, I mean, you can play with it a little bit more with, maybe even add some like translucency or something to it. But to be honest, the way I've seen this most successfully done, because I've seen lots of Mias, is to perhaps adjust. Either put fur if you want to play with it, add fur to her, or I would adjust from this texture reference to something a little bit less furry, more like a felt or something like that. I actually pulled up. Let me see. I pulled up something for you as I was looking through this, and like maybe something more like this, right? I know it's not exactly what you envisioned in your style frame, but this is kind of like the process too, depending on what the budget is. Like, can you afford to do fur, or and the goal is to always achieve the best visual image, right? And it's about I don't want to say making sacrifices, because it's not like this would be a lesser version of Mia, but it's about making the best choices for what you have. And in this case, the model that we have is this. So which doesn't have the fuzzy and the furry elements. So that's something that, I want you to consider. And if you do want to stick with the really furry version, then the suggestion is like you need to soften this, especially in here, like, and get that defined detail, but in a soft way. I know that's why it's so tricky, right? Because it's feeling more like a rock, like a hard texture instead of this soft, fuzzy texture, furry texture. So that would be my biggest suggestion on that. And then also, one, love the yellow boots. I'm a big fan of definitely this yellow too. I joke about like pops of yellow everywhere. Um, and I love that you added dirt to her. And the biggest thing that I'll say is that the dirt feels too uniform, right? It's like it's an awesome detail, but it feels way too uniform. Like it's just the same shade of brown. And if I was just looking at it just to look at it, I'd be like, oh, it should be like maybe a little bit more dirt, mud. I should said mud. Mud clunked down below here, and especially like in these creases. Like think about the details, and it wouldn't be so evenly split. Like I actually also was looking at a reference for you on this too, and I was looking at it, and I was like, yeah, that one's pretty even. But then like if you look here, you see how it's just not that evenly spread. And let me minimize this so you can see it more. But like this, if like how does mud really, and this is where reference plays such a big role. That actually looks pretty uniform there. But it's like, yeah, and this is where you just like keep on looking at reference and seeing what applies, and how to kind of use that. But I think the biggest thing I'm saying is it's really uniform, where if it was a natural thing, there'd be like maybe bigger clunk here, less clunk there. So just take it to the next level, and I think that'd be really fun for you, and to just like go even further into it as you play around with like how you place the textures where you want, and that's a great exercise too. So overall, I think Mia is looking amazing. I'm really excited for her to see her more in action, and let me know if you have any questions. In the meantime, have a great day and happy lighting, or happy shading, I should say. Talk to you soon. Bye.